Thank you for joining. We are so happy to have you. Can you introduce yourself? So Mark, you're the VP e-commerce from Insight. Can you tell us more? Christine shared some information about your company in her keynote. Can you tell us a few words about this?
Yeah, sure. So Insight is a global solutions integrator, service provider, and hardware distributor, B2B. And it's in the hardware distribution space, of course, that we use our product information management. So I lead the e-commerce team for Insight.
Perfect. And Kanchana, we are so happy to have you. You are from Google Cloud, one of our partners. What is your role there?
I have been with Google for about 6 years now, and I have been primarily an AI specialist working with New England customers, you name it, retail, financial services, HCM platforms on their AI journey. So about like 30 implementations I've done in the past. And since the buzz of generative AI, I have been focused in generative AI as a technical solutions manager. In my portfolio, I have software engineering, data engineering, agents, all of those.
Thank you. So we could not avoid that topic. Who is not an AI-powered company? We heard AI every day, of course. And this morning, we introduced the generative AI natively in Akeneo PIM. So we also want to hear from you all, guys, if you can just scan the QR code. And we love to hear from you about GenAI. Have you explored integrating generative AI into your PX strategy for content creation already or translation? I think we can follow the answers real time, guys. If I can, yeah. So it's not moving yet, yeah. Wow. Successfully 100% for now. Okay. 20% integrated and implemented, explored, okay. So it's more exploring. Okay, because what Rick said is true, meaning that in our everyday life, personal life, we are all familiar with AI, but when it comes to professional life, that's a bit different. So next question would be, so you have explored, most of you, but if you've tried integrating GenAI, has your organization adopted it in your daily PX strategies, meaning is it part of your daily work now, fully adopted or not? Let's follow the results live. I would have loved to hear from David, the previous speaker, on that, because he said that that was the secret sauce of their company. But I would love to hear from him also about integrating GenAI. So now still considering, OK, so 50% of you are still considering organizational adoption, partially adopted. OK, so that's perfect. That's why we are so happy to have you with us to tell us more about how to incorporate AI in your PX strategy, where to start exactly. And Mark, let's start first with you, because you are one of the Akeneo customers, very investing customers, and we thank you for that. You are part of our CAB, Customer Advocacy Board. You did start last year. Was there a pivotal moment to start, a specific thing that happened that make you start?
There actually was, and it was Unlock in Paris last year. It was actually at Unlock where we saw some demos, talked to some of Akeneo's partners about some of their tools that were available for AI, and that was really the trigger for us to say, hey, let's try this. Now, we're actually very lucky as a company because we do AI implementations for a lot of our clients. We have our own Insight GPT, very imaginatively named. We have data science teams, and so we had some capabilities in-house that I know a lot of people don't have. And so it was a bit less of a scary step. But the real problem that we need to solve is, the reason we got a PIM in the first place was because product information in the electronic space is bad. It all comes from the same place. It all comes from the same suppliers, same vendors. There's no differentiation. There's nothing really interesting or exciting about it. We actually, before we started our digital transformation, our rebuild of our e-com platform, we had the #1 complaint our customers had about our website was bad product data. And so bringing a PIM in was the key, was to solve that problem. we have a lot of SKUs. Right now in Akinio, I think we have 1.6, 1.8 million, something like that. And so keeping a 90% enhanced rate on that number of SKUs is difficult. So we have a team of 20 people whose job it is basically full-time to enhance products. They can't keep up with that rate. It's not unusual for us to have 10,000 new products in a day. AI just was an obvious choice. In particular, when you think about product data enhancement, it's the perfect use case for the models that we have today, for the GenAI models. And so putting those things together and seeing that there were some tools available by some of your partners that we could try was really, hey, let's give this a shot.
And immediately you started with your full range, whole range of products, catalog.
I think we did a sort of a pilot first,
okay.
But yeah, we do it across our full range of products now.
Okay.
And it was definitely a journey. You know, we ended up moving away from the partner tools to our own implementation. And there was, you know, if there's one piece of advice I would offer people if they're looking at tools to do this with is, you know, own the prompt. The prompt is your IP, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing that lets you brand the information that's generated. That's the thing that lets you really tweak the way it works. And this is why when I saw what you guys have come up with, I was very, very pleased to see that you've given us control over that with the tool. And that for us was the #1 deciding factor between using somebody else's tool and doing it ourselves, was because we wanted to own the prompt.
Very interesting. We'll come back in a few minutes. Kent, on your side, I would love your insights. Is GenAI for every kind of company? Mark explained that this is specific industries where product information is not sexy, not differentiating. Can you tell us about small, big enterprise, big companies?
So in my day-to-day job, I talk to different set of customers, starting from enterprises to, you know, scale companies which are just new by itself. I believe it's not a one-size-fits-all, but it has options for everyone. Like, if you think about anything in our world today, whether it's like a medical device, which is normally called smart, would have an AI-powered application. If it's a retail, like in every industry, we see that coming into fruition. How would it come? Like, I think the consumer experience is going to be the key, because when you think about what generative AI is, it does creation well, it does summarization well, all of those key qualities which a consumer needs. So if I think about it, like I'm used to going to a website, browsing through menus, trying to find what I want to find. And then I move to, I need to be able to search it and then show the information. And now, tomorrow, like if you look at David's use case, he's talked about a bumper car. And maybe the bumper car, I need to have stickers which have unicorn in it. Like, you know, think about it. Like, I could search for it, like bumper car stickers with unicorn. That might not be in the catalog, but you might need to create it and present it to the customer because that's what they want. So I think every industry is going to have that consumer experience challenge. So I almost feel that we are not playing by the rule anymore. This is like a game changer for every industry.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Mark, you just mentioned the choice of the tool, that you tried several solutions maybe before creating your own one. So you mentioned the prompt, owning the prompt. Is there other consideration for people who may want to start, that are looking for the right solution to consider?
I think this topic is made a lot more complicated than it needs to be. You know, the advice that I give people is just pick something simple and dive in. You know, for us, it was a case of just looking at where in our workflow it made sense to have automatic generation. And so we're actually doing it in a couple of places. We're doing a generation of fields that come in blank from our suppliers. We're also doing automatic categorization of products. And both of those are just pretty simple use cases that it's very easy to think about where you have those done by people today and think about how can I plug a tool into that spot in my workflow. And it doesn't replace what the person's doing, but it gives them a head start, right? And so, for example, we use some of our tools to generate what we call web bullets, which is the description that shows on the web. We tell the tool, hey, look at these other fields, generate web bullets for us. Well, I would have had to have a person generating those web bullets in the past, and we still have to have a person looking at them, right? Because there is the issue of hallucination, right? You have to be aware that the content, it's meant to sound authoritative, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's accurate. So you can't take people completely out of the process yet, or ever, actually. But it does give that head start, where in the past, the team would have to go out and Google stuff, or go out and find stuff. We now have AI doing that basic piece of the task for us. And it's literally transformed our workflows. Over the course of a year, we are now showing a measurable 20% productivity increase on the part of that team, and they give AI 100% of the credit for doing that. They've raised all of their KPIs for the year for 2024, again, entirely because of the way that they've implemented AI. And it's by just saying, hey, what's a simple problem that I can solve, that I can look at a spot in my workflow and say, hey, I've got this task that happens. It's an obvious AI task. Let me plug something in there and just dive into it that was so successful for us. We didn't try to find new and innovative and exciting things to do. We just looked at our day-to-day.
OK, interesting. We'll come back to that. But Kenj, do you have any recommendation when considering different tools on the market?
So when you think about generative AI tools, there's going to be a lot of tools and a lot of vendors. And I see this very often. Sometimes customers evaluate every single feature and see, OK, if it fits my use case or not. But truth of the matter is, every vendor is going to match all of these features. It's all going to be the same anyway. Like, if you think about a streaming channel, like at home, I have Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney, all of those YouTube TV, all of the streaming channels. And I definitely see that is going to be the case in every enterprise. Whichever use case fits your need for that purpose, use that tool. And be open to failing fast, because you are going to fail fast, because there is, as Mark said, there is going to be hallucination, there's going to be problems, but be open to failing fast. And also be open to the changes, because when we started generative AI with where we were, just as a chatbot, and now where we are today with agents building bigger stuff, I think this technology is going to continue to evolve. We are just in the start. And I don't know if we want to tie into one vendor. As Mark was saying, pick something, do something quick, do your experimentation, fail fast. Do not do extensive feature mapping, trying to figure out, hey, this feature is not in this platform. Trust me, every platform is going to match up at some point of the time. Maybe the streaming, like a streaming platform, maybe what you have in one might not be available in another, but the basic features would all exist.
OK, I love it. Fail fast, succeed fast. Yeah. That's what yeah, OK. So Mark, I can't help but asking that question to you. So you said that you tried several tools. You created your own one. What about Akino's one? Do you feel like trying it, even if you have your own?
So I don't know if we'll try it. We probably will. But I don't know if we'll replace the stuff we've built. What I can say is, if this was a year ago, and what I've seen with you guys releasing in the product today, we would definitely be using that. You guys have solved the problems that we went out and solved for ourselves in a way that I think is interesting and is easy to get into. It makes the idea of saying, hey, let me just see what AI can do for me within these attributes or for this product type, a simple choice. You can play with it now. And so, yeah, if it was a year ago, we would definitely be using the tools that you're providing. We'll see about whether we get back to them or not.
So we can definitely recommend to people that have not yet fully embraced GenAI to try it. It's
very much, I mean, so for us in particular, the idea of generating content for fields that are blank for us, the Generate AI tool that you showed this morning, it solves that problem. There are considerations for us in particular because of our scale. So we wouldn't necessarily want to go in and click it 5,000 times for 5,000 new products that were coming in. But those are the things I suspect you guys will take care of in future releases. But if I was somebody thinking, hey, let me take a look at this, let me introduce it to my team, let them get used to it, let them start to think about how to prompt it, what am I trying to get out of it, what you guys have provided is a really, really good start.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah. And you make a perfect transition to the teams themselves. So when we talk about adopting AI, we necessarily talk also about enhancing performance, succeeding faster, maybe better. But as you nearly said, it's complementary. It doesn't prevent humans from checking the results the same way they would have done, or they still do for translation, for instance. You receive translation from providers, and you check, you refine if needed, you adapt. So what are maybe the challenge you faced, if you face some, with the teams? The adoption, how did you convince them? Was it easy? And is it totally adopted?
So it's completely adopted. The team has fully embraced it because it helps them.
Okay.
You know, they're able to do a lot more, and a lot of the boring part of the job has been taken out of it. And so, yeah, we've seen enthusiastic adoption across the team. And it's really helped us focus that team in ways that we wouldn't otherwise. You know, electronics at the end of the day, kind of boring content. We don't necessarily want it to be. In particular, all of us and all of our competitors, we all get our content from the same people, the same you know, central brokers. Well, we now have the bandwidth on the team to differentiate the content for us, and you know, we know that's a huge deal for ecom, right? And so the team has been able to have a more interesting job doing more creative stuff with a lot of the boring steps taken out of it. And so, yeah, we've seen enthusiastic adoption.
Great. Is this your vision also, Kench, about GenAI? There is sometimes a fear from human when they don't know that technology, a fear that it can replace their job. Do you have some, thought about that?
So as like Mark was saying, right, like we are at a point that humans still need to be involved in evaluating all of these spaces. But when it comes to AI, like in the previous world of, you know, regular, now we call it conventional AI, it was an additive of whatever solutions we are creating, whether it's like recommendation or a suggestion, improvements, things like that. But we see today AI is in all of our day-to-day workflows, and it's going to continue to you know, increase of how much we are going to embrace it. So when I think about how the fear of replacing when it comes, we need to adapt to the platform, whether you're a business professional, product professional, you're a technical professional. You need to be aware that it's coming, ready for it, plan your you know, actions in such a way that when it does come, you have an idea of how you would. So whatever workflow tool or anything you use, that is going to have generative AI component. And how are you going to adapt it is based on the learning we would all have to embrace together.
And when we talk about performance too, Christine was mentioning executive sponsorship, Mark. Do you have specific KPIs that you track now that you have embraced AI? Does that change the goals that you want to reach?
So it hasn't changed the goals. We measure the same things for product data as we always have. What it's done is it's let us move our goals, stretch our goals more.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, you know, the subtitle of this is, you know, convincing CEOs to invest in it. That's the way to do it, right? You know, we show measurable productivity improvements through using the tools, and so we're able to say, hey, instead of 90% enhancement rate, we're aiming for 96%. And on a catalog the size of ours, that's significant.
Okay. And on your side, Kench, working on new features, new products with Google Cloud, is that something you work on also, like providing for a new product KPIs, metric that people will be able to reach?
Yes, so there are the business KPIs we track, like, you know, based on the use case. It needs to be based on what the goals are, and it needs to be clear. It needs to be very action-oriented so that you would be able to show the outcome. And also the technical, you know, metrics which we need to evaluate, particularly with AI. It's not just accuracy of a result. It is making sure your metrics, your monitoring, your evaluation, all of that is in a pipeline that is automated, and there's no human who is, you know, able to change. So when I think about KPIs, I also have the business KPIs, which is the larger goal, which is everyone is aware of, and also the technical KPIs of an application which we are building for generative AI. And that's not very different from our previous conventional AI approach. Most of it aligns to the same way of how we are thinking through. But with generative AI, this has become more prominent because most often the generative AI models are considered black box in some ways. So the earlier world where we were creating AI models, every organization had a bunch of data scientists. They were focused on creating one problem and they're solving that one problem. That was easier to define because that is limited to one team. Versus here you are, working with a model, a large model which exists, and then fine-tuning or other capabilities to ground against your data, and then creating a metric is going to be the challenge. And that's why the business KPIs are important, and that's something which you strive for. But when you're developing the application, it's important to also think about the technical metrics on how you're approaching.
Thanks. Before we wrap up, I'd like to share the key takeaways that I personally keep from you and from our conversation to prepare this session. So I keep that AI is a powerful tool, but of course it's not a magical solution. It always requires human efforts. It's a tool. It does not replace human expertise. And human expertise is still essential for decision making. And one of the most also important things that I keep from you, Mark, is that we can try and implement AI, GenAI, without significant cost and time investment. That's also what you shared, Kench, when we worked together. And AI implementation is an ongoing journey. That's what you also shared, Mark. Let's stay informed. Let's try new things. Let's fail to succeed. So that's what I keep from you. Thanks a lot for sharing your insight today. Mark, you're staying with us. So if anybody has some question, you can meet Mark whenever you want during this summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.